It's lovely to have familiar faces on the call. So thank you for those of you that are able to join. We'll share this recording for the ones that weren't able to join to hopefully share a little bit of the excitement. Hello, Johan. Nice to see you again as well. So Laura will continue to
Goedemiddag,
just
middag.
just add people to the call as they become available. And the purpose of this session is to share a little bit around the Kinder Institute training that for the first time in a decade is coming to South Africa. Thank you to Laura and Mary. And through today's conversation, it'll really be an opportunity to unpack a little bit of what the Kinder Institute stands for, where the 7 stages of money maturity fits into the registered life planning training, what we as advisors and practitioners can gain from investing in this type of training, and really be an interactive session. So thank you, Mary. I want to start with asking you to give us the kind of the backstory of where you and George met, and yeah, just the early days. Like, give us a sense of what financial planning looked like in America at that point, and just how the two of you met.
Oh, it's a great question, Louis. I'd love to tell the story too, because it was, I had in my own arena, I had a tax business before I went into financial planning. So income taxes was a big thing for me. As I went on in income taxes, I realized I didn't really want to go what we call the CPA route, which is more the accountancy, but I was very fascinated by financial planning. So I went back to school to get my CFP certification, which I did. After I did that, I wanted to go to, my first national conference in financial planning. And there was this pre-conference called the 7 Stages of Money Maturity. And I thought, well, this sounds good. I need, kind of some ABCs of how to do financial planning. And that wasn't exactly what happened. What happened, though, changed the trajectory of my life. The way I like to describe it is that I had great relationships with my clients. I had a booming tax business, great relationships with my client, and I did good professional work. And I had them apart somehow. What happened with the 7 stages is that I realized that there's more going on than we realize in our office. And it has to do with money is embedded in us in ways that we just don't pay attention to. And we don't talk about it. At least in the States, it's kind of a shadow subject. People don't talk about money. I don't know what it's like in South Africa, but it seems to be a universal theme that everybody uses money. That's how we flow in this life. But it's really not given the kind of credence that it needs to have. At least for me, yeah, I just internalized in such a different way what was going on with me and money, so that when I got to know myself, it was so much easier to be with my clients through all of their ups and downs and all of the feelings that come up and are associated with money. So that was what happened. I was very shocked, very surprised that was the direction I went, and immediately signed up for the next phase, which was a week-long workshop with George. And he's been a delightful friend for years, but I would also call him, if I want to talk about George now, that's my story. But what I would say about George is that he's a rock star is the best way I can put it. A revolutionary, a visionary. And I say rock star, I have to smile, because one of the last conferences in Arizona where I live, George was giving the keynote, but I was doing the pre-conference of the 7 stages ahead of time. And he and I and another gentleman were at dinner out on a patio, and people were starting to arrive for the big conference. And I noticed this group of young folks in their 30s that were just kind of whispering and looking over at our table, and it was I finally, I kept catching their eye every once in a while, because it looked like they were talking about us or wanting something, and then I thought, oh my gosh, George has turned into this rock star person that people want to meet. So as we got up to go, I just thought I knew it was happening, but I said, George, are you willing to, maybe talk to a table if I get their attention? And he goes, oh, Mary, they wouldn't want to. I said, just follow me on this one. So I went over and I said, oh, are you all here for the conference? And they go, oh, yes. I said, well, I'm with George Kinder. Would you like to meet him? And they're all like, yes, yes, yes. So it was one of those things that it's become surprising as time has gone on that he's become this kind of, wow, this was a real trailblazer. And I go back to the 7 stages, and I've always said it's timeless work. It worked back 20 years ago when I did it, and it is just as timely today. And yet it's been enhanced. And the generation coming up, and that's what I'm really hoping to get here, is I feel like you're so much more in tune with what goes on inside of you in general. And when you have a better starting point, I think that when we bring money into the whole intrinsic value, it'll make a lot more sense to you. So I'm always impressed with how quickly people catch on, because when I first took it, this was just an unheard of thing. And I'm talking unheard of as in you don't talk about things with your client. What our goal was when we started out was to beat the stock market. Everyone wanted a broker who was going to beat the stock market and make a lot of money for them. And what we find out is certainly we want to do well by our clients in that way. And what our clients really want is to live the life of their dreams. And that's what comes together in the 7 stages.
Thank you for sharing that backstory for us, just where the penny dropped and you could internalize that. I'm curious, within that training, what was the light bulb moment? What led to, just before that, for the realization where you didn't see this as two separate worlds, but where it became one for you? What led to that?
Mm, it's a good question, Louis. And I think if I were honest, I think it was my ego that changed. Because I think as a financial planner, I felt like I needed to have all the answers. It needed to be built in. I needed to have a life that was financially free, and I could do the things that I wanted. But I still had stuff around money. I did not come that way. I studied myself into knowledge about money. So the fact that I thought that I needed to have this perfect background in money to be a good financial planner, it went up in smoke, because all of us, that's what's wonderful about it. It's a very conversational workshop, and we find out about each other's stories. We can find our clients in the stories that we hear. So I realize that it's in the imperfection that we do our work. And so I think that was beautiful, a little stunning, because wow, so you don't have to be perfect to be a financial planner. To be a good financial planner now, you have to know your client. That's a different shift.
It's funny how 20 years later, this has been even more enhanced. And what I'm hearing is that, coming back to, actually, we can do all the technical work, we can get the training, but it's that self work that allows us to change and approach the way we deliver advice and the way we support our clients through this process. So I'm imagining that a lot of people that attend these sessions are either financial planners or accountants by training that are looking for something different. But how has the course changed over the last 20 years? Have you seen a bit of a shift? And I'll ask you why, because from my perspective, when we look at training in the human side of money, I think of three places. So the Transitionist Institute, Money Quotient, and the Kinder Institute. There pretty much isn't anyone else that I think have this rigorous, long-term track record and essentially repeatable process to help us deliver better advice. Yet I'm curious, like, how that's changed from 20 years ago, where I don't think Susan Bradley, she might have just started Sun and Money. I don't think Money Quotient was there. So the kind of the original process, how that's changed, because it actually sounds like it stayed very grounded through the last 20 years.
Everybody in the world should go through the 7 stages of money maturity workshop, because the best thing about it is that you learn about yourself, and what triggers you, what makes you buy things that you don't need, for instance, what makes you hold on to, a great deal of money, thinking that one day you might not have it. And so you stop your life at that point in time. So it's, I think for one thing, I think that it's grounded in, these are concepts and ideas that nobody's ever talked about before. And it allows us to get to know ourselves. And from there, then I saw the expansion. I still don't know any group that's gone really into the knowing yourself part of working with clients as well as George has done. And then I was in, and after that, because I forget, maybe I was in the third, fourth workshop that he had done, and he realized that there's even more coming. There's more that people are wanting. And that was where the life planning movement was born. So I actually was in the very first life planning training, and we were trying to figure out, what does that mean? How do we involve our clients in all of this new internalism that we had? And how do we work with clients and their money in that way? So when we do the 7 stages workshop now, as a matter of fact, it used to be strictly those 7 stages, because there's been such a call for life planning. We want to know more about life planning. We know we're going to learn about ourselves, but what is this life planning movement? We tag onto that in the second day of the 7 stages. We give a taste of what life planning is and how you work with your clients. So
So
that's
Mary,
what I would say.
you mentioned about the registered life planning training. So that would be, if I understand it correctly, the 7 stages training, and then you would flow into Evoke at some point if you want to become a registered life planner. Which one do people typically start with, or do they have to start with a specific one? And also, as a follow-up to that, is how many people do both? Do both Evoke and the 7 stages?
Yes, and Laura might be able to help me out with numbers a little bit there, but either way you can go. Because I first did the 7 stages, I always have a bias that first do the 7 stages, it's 2 days, and then go into the Evoke training. The Evoke training is 5 days, and it's fantastic. It's really getting into the nitty-gritty of yourself and your clients. You can start with Evoke, because that's the life planning part of it. That's the part about knowing your client and knowing how to work with your client in the best possible way. The 7 stages can be done secondarily. There might be a better understanding with people who have gone through the 7 stages and then gone into the Evoke training, but either way is good. Either way can work. And then to get your registered life planner certification, it's another 6 months of a mentorship. So if I went in the order I went, it was the 7 stages workshop first, then the 5 day Evoke training. And we usually try and do that in a nice setting where we can go on walks and really clear our minds and our hearts for the work that we're going to do. And then another 6 months of mentorship, where you actually then meet with your clients and write up how your first appointment went and what you could have done better. And it's great to get input from your other cohorts, as well as from the leaders of the Evoke training. So does that help?
I think it's very helpful to kind of frame what this training could look like, but it sounds like this 7 stages could stand on itself or is part of the training. So I'm even thinking I could be helpful for clients with their own way of looking at money to go through this. I want us to maybe talk about what those 7 stages are. Just if you can give us a bit of a sneak without the 2 day session, but just What are the seven stages? And I must confess, the book I've had the book for 15 years. Um, and every time I pick it up, I'm like, no, I'm not ready to read this just yet. And then actually, over the last 2 years, I'm like, okay, now I'm at a point where this makes sense and I understand. I guess maybe it comes with, I guess, a little bit of wisdom or a little bit of gray hair I'm going to add to.
And I know people, and I am one of them, who read the book and still didn't understand what it could mean to be with other people and learn together. So that well, there are seven stages of money maturity, and innocence is the first stage. Innocence around money, pain, the pain then that we feel around money. I've yet to meet anyone who hasn't had pain around money.
We start with innocence and pain because those are the childhood phases where we come in with so many limiting beliefs around money, often fantasies around money that come from our parents and grandparents and how we were brought up. And then we experience pain when those innocent beliefs are not found to be true. And that pain is something that we have to learn to move through. And we start to move through that through the knowledge phase of gaining more information about ourselves, about the world around us, different resources. And that helps us move into an understanding phase where we have gained more equanimity in ourselves. Mary, I'm just jumping in around the seven stages. So understanding is this crux point in the maturity, like bell curve or hero's journey of when we have moved through those earlier stages and are now able to open ourselves up to a kind of a broader world and a broader way of being with ourselves. And there's a groundedness that comes through the understanding phase because that's where we've really done a lot of work. And then we move into the more mature phases where we've gained more vigor around our life. We see then in vision how we can be of support to our community and we have a role in it. And then we move into aloha, which is this place where there's aloha means the passing of a blessing from one person to another without the need for recognition or financial support. It's just the total giving. And so George developed the seven stages of money maturity based on a lot of both personal experience as well as literature. There's seven stages in a lot of things. So he was able to pull this all together and create a framework where we can see our clients in different stages of their experiences with money, understanding that it's not like we're all at one stage at one time. We're at a stage in a certain circumstance or situation in our life. And these lessons around money maturity are, I also think of them as just lessons on like a framework for looking at my own life and understanding better where I am. From here, Louis, why don't we go to maybe some questions that anyone in the audience might have, and then we can kind of weave Mary back in. So just to introduce myself, my name is Laura Woodward. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Kinder Institute, and I'm really excited to be able to partner with Louis and with Mary to see if we can offer the Seven Stages course in Cape Town this September. And since you're here, we'd love to hear your questions around the course and any thoughts that you have.
So I have one question.
Yes,
that's really, where's the location going to be? And when you say Cape Town, I couldn't see where in Cape Town you're going to be.
Yeah, so we were looking at the Cape Town Lodge as our location, but one of the reasons that we we haven't secured the location yet is because we need to have a certain number of participants that have signed up in order for us to then book the training location. So our intention is to hold it there.
Sorry, where did you say I missed that? Where is it going to be?
Oh, I think, Louis, is it the Cape Town Lodge?
Yeah, the Cape Town Lodge.
You're
Susan, I
talking
can
about the
share the.
waterfront. Oh, you're
Yeah.
talking about the waterfront. Okay, that's why I need to get to Stellenbosch. So as I was trying to figure it out. Okay. Okay, Cape Town Lodge. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's the intention, but so there are a few different things in play in order to make sure that it happens there. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for asking. Benny or Russell, anyone else have a question?
So can I ask more
Uh,
questions? Sorry, I
Yeah,
came in
yeah,
late.
go ahead, Susan.
So it's over 2 days, and then I heard you say that so there's one course, and then you go on to do the Evoke course. Is that how's it structured?
Yeah, so the registered life planner designation is 3 different courses. So if you don't want to earn the designation, that's totally fine. But the 7 stages of money maturity is the first step, or can be one of the steps that goes on to earning the full designation. So the sequence can be to take the 7 stages of money maturity and then take the Evoke life planning training. That Evoke life planning training can happen over 5 days in person, or 4 days online. And then there's an online mentorship component that follows the Evoke course. So Evoke is a prerequisite for the mentorship, because in the mentorship, you're expected to start to apply the life planning methodology in your practice. And so of course you need to take the course first. And then you're part of like this mastermind group along with the trainers to support your introduction of life planning into your practice. So in order for participants of this course, I guess my suggestion would be to take the 7 stages course and then look at our schedule to see if there is an online version of the Evoke course, or consider flying to the UK or to the US for the Evoke course. We hold in-person trainings in both of those locations. And then if we get enough interest really from the 7 stages course, we could potentially hold an Evoke course in Cape Town. But we're just starting this out, and we know we're a little bit under the wire since September is just a few weeks away. So we're trying to pull
And it's
this
a lot of
together.
conferences. It's Cape
Yeah,
Town
and we
Conference.
chose like the
Yeah.
perfect week for
It's
financial planners to be engaged.
conference, it's Fund House 91. It's
Yeah.
every conference
Block
you
out
could
your whole
possibly have.
month.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, did that answer your question though about the full designation path?
Yeah, no, I was just curious because I think there was something else that I've subscribed to, that whole life planning. I think there's 2 other guys that do it in America, but I don't know who. They call it life planning. Steve and someone else, I forget. Mitch.
Oh,
Mitch
great.
Oh, that's
and
more lifestyle financial planning.
I don't know. And I just when you said life
Yeah,
planning or life whatever, yeah.
What was do you recall Steve's last name?
it would be Sandusky.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Oh, okay, great. Then I'm not sure. But okay, I got the Russell's asking what is the total cost of the 2-day workshop. So we've discounted our standard rate for everyone who goes through that signs up through our landing page by 20%. And so I did the math. So it's $1,143.20 US, which currently is just about 20,000 South African Rand for the 2-day course.
Okay.
And then is this course separate from the CEFT designation? Yes, it is. If you are a CFP though, you will get 10 CFP continuing education credits for taking this course.
And
Maybe just on that,
which
Laura.
role? Which numbers for your CFP?
Sorry, so the
Yeah.
CE credits wouldn't be applicable to the South African Financial Planning Institute because they have their own designation for continuous professional development points, and you need to submit everything and they approve it. So this wouldn't count towards your South African CFP.
Okay.
But if you're an FPA member, it would. So,
Okay.
Okay, that's good to know.
sorry, Laura.
No, it's okay. Is it something where they could apply like separately?
You need to register as a continuous professional development provider and get approval. So yeah, I don't think people that typically attend this don't do it for the CPD points. They do it for the self improvement.
Yeah.
And I think Susan to maybe position where Mitch Anthony and Lifestyle Financial Planning and Steve Sandusky, it's similar, although I think this work is a lot deeper and it's more around your own relationship with money and how that shows up, where Steve and Mitch is more on a how do we support clients, but I think if you think about different levels, this would be more an emotional connection point where the rest is more transactional and still more about, oh, we need to plan for a wonderful life and we need to have the cash flow projections right. So it not to compete, but I think this is different, right?
Yeah. Kim Potgieter, I think, did this with George Kinder, didn't she?
The two Kims, so Kim
Yeah.
Frost and Kim Potgieter.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Kim Frost did it. Oh, she's a good friend of mine. I'm going to ask her. That's great. Okay. Good to know. And then our next question. But Louise, sorry, going back to CPD points. So if you did a financial coaching course through UFS, you actually do get CPD points. So it's maybe not a bad thing to ask. Not a bad thing.
I can check with them. I think the UFS is a CPD provider, so that's probably why they would be able to apply for
Maybe. I know
the
when I did
approval.
Okay.
But
So
there's a ton of online courses if you ever need CPD points.
I know. It's easy to tick the box. No, I was just curious. And then, so like, what makes this different? The reason I'm asking because I'm busy doing an Enneagram course as well, and I'm trying to decide which would be different, right? Or like which would be more beneficial for the clients in terms of the depth. Like, what are you learning that's different here from, like, you always used to get, what was her name, Susie Orman, and she would also have her different like levels of the different stages of money and money behavior, childhood behavior with money stories. What would we walk away from if we had to invest 2 days of our time into this course? Like, apart from the financial stuff, like what would you be walking away from?
Mary, do you want to jump
You
in?
know, I think I got, and I think I was broken off at the time when I got back from the 7 stages of money maturity workshop. I was in my bunco group of friends. We've been friends for all kinds. We thought we had touched on every topic possible about what was going on in our lives as young mothers and spouses and active people. And we started talking about money, and the stories came. And what struck me, and one of the ladies noticed it even before I did, she said, Mary, these are stories I have never heard from any of us ever before. Ever before. And what that really told me was, oh my gosh, not only is George on to something, but this is something we all have, as close as we were, as well as we thought we knew each other, all the topics that we've gone into in depth. Money never comes up. And we're the money people. We're the people that work with money. We have those intimate conversations anyway in our offices. So this just gives us so many guidelines, so many helpful, wonderful ways of being with our clients as they go through turmoil around money. So I think that was my experience. That was the aha for me. It wasn't just me that had this experience. Nobody talks about money the way that we're able to in workshop.
So did you find that your financial conversations with clients changed and their ability then to understand their own responsibility towards their money and staying the course? Did that improve?
Absolutely. When you have people that are living the lives they want to live and that they're able to, really narrow it down to what's most important to them. And if you're there in their corner to help them realize those things that are most important to them, that's the most value we can bring as a financial planner. We're going to be here with you through this. And it's that's where the life planning actually came from, Susan. It's such a great question, because from the 7 stages, when people went to it, it was like, okay, now what do we do and how do we bring it to our clients? And that's why we use part of the 2nd day to talk about that. Now that we've understood ourselves a little bit better, now how do we work with clients with this newfound intrinsic knowledge?
Okay. And then how did you do that in your own business? I mean, is that part of your like conversations? I mean, because I think of like Louis, like myself, and I think we're eternal seekers and curious and into financial
I don't
coaching and
know.
that sort of thing. Like, so that's almost like just a natural part of our conversation. But if you have been exploring that for many years, what does your course offer more than another course?
Well, I think I think what we learn, deep listening skills is huge. And we ask very potent questions that if you've heard of George Kinder's 3 questions, that was quite popularized when he first started out. I still haven't found, and George certainly never did find a more potent way of filtering into what a client really wants than using the 3 questions. So those 3 questions become part of it. So it makes it, after a while, I mean, we used to ask all the questions about what are your goals in life? That seems, I mean, to me now going through the training that I have, it's a
Okay.
You're on, Laura.
Yeah, I'm on. Thank you, Susan. So the way I would answer that is that the part of the purpose of the course is to help you in understanding, using a mindfulness-based listening process. You're kind of going deeper yourself into understanding how to listen and hold space for your client in a way that they're really going to want to move into the space and fill it with who they are. And so that's been a shift from other companies that offer this type of client-focused training program. And then from there, from the deep listening skills that you're able to gain through the course, interwoven are the stories around the 7 stages of money maturity. But there's a lot of everything that we do is experiential. And so you're experiencing the training as both the client and the planner. And so you get to have both sides of that conversation. You get to feel what it's like to be the client who is truly listened to. And you get to feel like the planner who is, I mean, many of the participants in this may or may not be your experience, but realize that actually pausing for enough time for the client to move through the emotion that they're experiencing when they're starting to tell a really heartfelt story. It takes time and you can really feel it. And if you cut that off, then the client doesn't get the benefit of really moving through that emotion. So we're training advisors to hold more space and to be more in tune with their own emotions as well as their clients' emotions. And that's what takes time over this 2-day period is and a lot of practice working with a partner, and is that you're going to get more experience actually feeling what it's like to be the client, so that informs how you are as the advisor working with your clients. And then Mary mentioned one of our inspirational exercises, but we have many that we go through in this training that help the client to better understand who they are and how they want to be in the world. And so you get practice with those inspirational exercises and in the delivery of them. So that then funnels into what Mary mentioned on the last day. It was like getting to witness the life planning, the evoke process, and getting to a chance to practice that. So that's, I would say in general, this training is really going to help you gain more depth for yourself and to build some skills around how to allow your clients to really be comfortable opening themselves up. One of our trainers likes to say that, every client comes into a meeting with 10 marbles in their pocket. And your job as the planner is to help that client feel comfortable enough actually sharing all 10 marbles in the conversation. And very often we'll put 1 or 2 onto the table first, but we never, not even to sometimes our partner, do we actually share that 10th marble. But if your goal as the planner is to be there and hold space for them in this kind and caring way and compassionate way, that they feel comfortable enough eventually pulling out all 10 marbles, like that's going to move them to a place where they start to deliver on a much more fulfilled life. And that's our goal at Kinder Institute, is to help advisors guide their clients to live into a life of fulfillment.
And then, sorry, I seem to have all the questions. So if you've done behavioral coaching before, brain-based coaching before, would you still need to do your 2 days to get into Evoke? So if you've really done that modularity,
Yeah, so
what?
you certainly don't need to start with the 7 stages. I think that, I mean, but what you'll find is that if you felt like, I really want to just dive into this process, I'd like to learn the evoke process first. By all means, that's a wonderful jumping off point, because you're going to learn the process that we use to help the client understand who they are in a holistic way, and have that guide the financial planning that comes after that process. And so you certainly could start with Evoke. And then what the 7 stages course does in at least our designation training is you could take it later, either during the mentorship or after, as a refresher or a way of kind of congealing at all of the information. But for our designation, you do need to take all 3 modules in order to earn it. And it's
Okay,
certainly going to
you're
build
not
up
looking for
behavioral.
the designation if you're just looking for the information.
Yeah. Yeah. So then if that's the case, then you certainly just could take any of the courses that, appeal to you.
Okay.
I think maybe to add to that, Susan, in South Africa, we have very limited opportunities like this to learn
Yeah.
from someone specifically like Mary that is in our field, that experiences what we experience, the way we want to deliver advice. Yes, we can take our inspiration from coaching and all the different supporting areas. But what I've experienced is that those people come from a different way of operating. They may be in the HR field or coaches, whereas I think the way Mary operates is within what we want to do. And then it's more about how do you improve the impact. And Russell, maybe to your question, like what's the ROI? I think it's transformational. Is not so much about, oh, this is going to help you generate more business. Yes, it will. That will be a byproduct, but it'll change your relationship with money, which means, to Laura's point, the way you show up could be enhanced, but that's also only if we show up and do the work. We could say, okay, I'm going to subscribe and I'm going to sit back and let Mary do all the work. For me, I haven't experienced this, but I can't imagine this being a thing where we sit back and we listen to them. We experience this and we do the work and we show up. And if that's not for you, that's also okay. I think there's a lot of advisors, maybe Mary, for you joining here, it's like maybe worthwhile saying, who is this not for? I would imagine it's the people that are saying, well, actually, I'm there for the transaction and I'm going to help you kind of move your retirement savings. Like, I think the work that we're signing up to do now is more transformational, changing someone's relationship with money, allowing them to live a life that they wouldn't be able to live without someone supporting them in helping unpack their emotional connection to money.
Mm. Mm.
Any other questions from the group? All right.
Benny, would you mind if I ask you a question? Is this something, just for reference, Benny is part of the Asset Map team in South Africa. Do you think this is something that would resonate to a lot of your users in the way they are changing how to deliver advice?
Yeah, I mean, I got exposed to George Kinder many, many years ago, and it had a profound impact on me. And because of the work that I'm doing now through Asset Map, which is a sort of a client engagement thing, is I feel I've sort of not lost touch, but one gets very siloed, and we continuously want to. And I was thinking, I need to share that experience with, or at least we can introduce that to our community of the financial advisors we work with. And so I was curious, and so I'm curious about the course. I'm curious about the details and stuff, and then in a way, can we promote it? Can we do a little bit to promote it? I think that's be very happy to do that. Yeah, because I think Louis, it's like inevitable. Like once you start that client engagement journey, it's about conversations, and in fact, our number one question is, what do I talk to the client about? When there's this picture, Laura and Mary, we do this visual financial planning, and as soon as you do a simple picture, the question is, what do you talk to the client about? So yeah, so I think it does, Louis, it works really well, and yeah, we strongly support it. So yeah, so that's my reason for attending today. I'm trying to work out how can we best support the course.
I think Asset Map does definitely, I mean, it is all about conversations. It does take away from the numbers and to the pictures. I think your only negative, Louis, is that it's actually Hum is there on that day. So I don't know how many people are going to Hum. You know
We've
that.
moved it to the day after Hum. So Hum is on the 9th,
Yeah.
and then this would be on the 10th and 11th.
Then all the fund house people can't make it because that's when our course is. That's when our seminar is.
Uh,
Because I'd already changed
um,
my dates so I could join here, join this.
I guess the question is, will Funhouse be there next year? Mary might not be there next year.
Yeah, so it's the fund house. It's the fund house seminar in
Okay.
Stellenbosch. So it's the day
Yeah.
after.
Yeah,
Okay,
time
well
Sorry,
that's me
Fund
out,
House.
problematic.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's not worthwhile comparing relative to other training. It's the cost of flying to the UK or America and doing this in person, because I don't think it's not as impactful. Yeah, so for me, it's about what is at
Yeah.
this point in your life where you want to spend your time and your money and your energy.
Oh yeah, look, I was quite happy not to go to him, but now I can't not go to the fund house. That's unfortunately it's where all my funds go there. So
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
'Cause that's why I asked you where is it? Because I'd already gone, okay, well then I'll give up him and I'll come to this.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, we're at the close of the information session. So again, we are planning to hold this on the 10th and 11th of September. And thank you, Mary, for sharing so much of your heart with us and what to expect from this training. And thank you, Louis, for such poignant questions and also for just being able to be the bridge that you are between our organization and helping us try to launch this training in Cape Town. So we're really excited to make it happen. We do need to get a minimum number of participants by the 18th. So if you are eager to sign up, please do so. That'll help influence our ability to make a decision around following through with doing the training.
Otherwise, change of October, Louis.
I'm not sure if Mary will still be in Cape Town in October.
Oh, yeah. How long are you in Cape Town for, Mary?
It'll be until September 14th. So, and I actually, if you're wondering who the Grace Smith is on this call, it's all because of Grace that I will be coming to Cape Town. And knowing Grace and meeting Grace's friends, it's been just a great wealth of fun and knowledge. So thank you, Grace. That was from one of George Kinder's, let's see, we were on a Zoom call, and that's how Grace and I met, because she invited me to her conscious aging group. And I got to meet all the wonderful people in South Africa. I'm sure there now are more. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to my time there. I've heard so much about it. And thank you, Grace, for bringing me into the fold there.
I wish you well. I wish you well. It's going to be beautiful.
All right. Well,
Enjoy.
thank you everyone for being here. And thank you
you.
again. We'll look forward to it. Bye.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye.
Thank you, Mary. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Wow, really great
Bye.
meeting.
Thank you, Louis.